Well, I love the
Stimson.
glass.
Oh, thanks. Give an intro. We're a few minutes
Oops.
behind.
Sorry. There we go. Got it.
That's Alan's. I'm teaching Alan how to
Yeah.
do the show.
It's all done.
Your film, Tim Travers and the Time Traveler's Paradox, just premiered at a festival recently.
Well, we just had our Los Angeles premiere, but we actually had our world premiere back at CineQuest in San Jose.
Oh, congratulations. Tell us the story of your film.
Do you have an easier question like quantum physics maybe I could get into?
No, we'll get into that. But tell us the story. I've seen the movie. It's the effects and, you know, the surprisingly a lot of gore in your movie. I'm shocked.
We had a very unsafe set. Now, the story of Tim Travers, it's about the time traveler's paradox, that old thought experiment where if you go back in time 1 minute, kill your younger self, or the other version is go back, kill your grandfather, or go back, prevent your parents from getting together. Just the whole, if you change a thing, does that not create a paradox because you're no longer around to change a thing? And the story is about a mad scientist who decides to do that and discovers that the paradox breaks reality in ways he did not expect, including his own emotional well-being.
Well, that's for sure. And then I don't know how you did all the, like, there's so many, I don't want to ruin anything, but there are a lot of versions of Tim. Let's just say a lot in this movie. I don't know how this takes Back to the Future 2 and like to new levels, so to speak.
Incidentally, still my favorite of all the Back to the Futures is Back to the Future 2.
Yeah, I love time travel stories. I just love them. The whole thinking. The fact that this movie deals with that one question with layers is really inventive.
Well, it's part of what inspired it. It's like you see time travel stories all the time, but they're usually an excuse to get to something else. Like time travel, so we have an excuse to fight dinosaurs. Time travel, so you can meet your parents as teens. The time travel itself is never really the point. It's always a tool to get to something else that the storyteller is more interested in. With this movie, I really am interested in the time travel, the consequences of it. And there is a nerd audience out there of people like me who love these sort of thought experiments. So that's what we wanted to do here.
It's literally like taking one of the long time debates in, you know, between nerds and making a movie out of that debate.
And for some people, that's a terrible description of the film. For some people, that be like, oh God, not for me.
No, for me, that's perfect. How did you get the cast? Right? I mean,
well, our main cast guy is Samuel Dunning, who plays Tim Travers, who's also the only unknown in the cast. I actually met him after writing the short film that this was adapted from. And I remember writing the script and being like, I can't do this. I don't know any actor who can play this role. I shelved it. And a month later, at a festival that was so small, there were more people on the panel than in the audience. Not an exaggeration. He and I were both on that panel, and I'm just watching this man speak, and it's like, he's the one.
Well, so, the idea he's not playing different versions of himself, but it's kind of like
not a multiverse story at all.
It's not that. It's sort of like, you know, the a couple minutes ago version.
Yeah.
Questioning. So how about Felicia Day? I love her. I've always loved her.
Oh, well, before we get into Felicia Day, I just want to go back to,
sure.
This was wonderful, but the thing you were mentioning about the different characters he plays, we get a lot of Tim Travers in this film, but they're not multiverses. It's just one guy separated by a few minutes, which to me is interesting because I've always had this fear that what if I found myself trapped in a room with nothing but other me's and somehow I was still the least popular? Like that's just been a fear of mine. And that's what we're trying to play with, that stuff there. Felicia was a dream to work with, and I wish I had a better story for how we got her. We called her agent, sent her the script. She liked the script, and then we haggled for a few days, and that was it. Same for all the big names in it. Keith David, Danny Trejo, Joel McHale. It was a really old-fashioned casting process.
Yeah, I love Daniel Craig in anything. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
We've got like 2,000 people watching live right now. We have a lot of chat questions. We will get to your chat questions in a moment. But I just want to say um, this is indie sci-fi. There's a lot of special effects. How did you pull that off? There are so many on-screen versions of Tim. They're wearing badges like Zeta, Beta, Alpha, like all the through the alphabet. How did you like in a frame map all that out? Was it storyboarded? How did you do with that?
Oh God, I wish we had time to storyboard on this film. We barely had time to make a shot list on this film. We were moving so fast, and the number of Tims. So regarding the special effects, there are in this little indie film 540 effect shots in the film.
Wow.
Easily a solid third of the entire film is to some degree or another an effect shot. And there was a really secret trick we used to make it work, which was to have somebody else do it.
All right.
We went through a company called Mode Effects, who did all the effects on a show called Z Nation. And the guy who runs it, Jason McKee, is also the film's lead editor. So even as we were in post-production on the edit, it was the effects department who was sitting there helping us dictate how we were going to edit it together. The other big effect we use in the film is the fact that there's actually a lot of shots that have no effects. The main trick we use for the Tim Travers is actually camera trickery with no effects at all. We had about 5 lookalikes of Sam, who plays Tim Travers, on set all the time, wearing wigs, including our hero lookalike, a guy we call named David Babbitt, who also plays the delivery boy in the film, who actually had his hair cut and dyed to model Sam's perfectly, and is putting an entire performance on. So anytime you're looking over his shoulder or you're seeing a little bit of a Tim that's dirtying the frame, that's not an effect, that's just a different guy. And we extrapolated that out to add more Tims. I think in total, 8 different people wear the Tim Travers costume in the course of making this film.
Like I said, we've got 2,000 people watching live. We've got a lot of questions. Let's go to the chat questions for you right here. Alan, if you would read these.
Yeah, Ron is wrong. Ron is wrong. Wouldn't have Paradox been a smaller title?
Yes.
Did you get pushback on your title?
Not as much fun.
Yeah, I like your title. It's fun.
Did you get pushback on it, or?
A couple people, but also I like a title that really conveys the kind of film you're in for. And the thing is, it's so hokey and silly. Tim Travers at the Time Traveler's Paradox. You already know what kind of movie you're in for before you walk into the theater. I mean, right down to the logos we use for the film and the old David Cronenberg style poster we use.
Absolutely. All right. From Solomon Thornton. Greetings, Sir Stimson. Any advice for great filmmakers?
Watch lots and lots of films and figure out how you would do it better. That doesn't mean you're going to do it better, but actually ask yourself to get out of a critic's mindset when you watch films. Like too often as a critic, we're thinking about, is this good? Is it bad? That's irrelevant. If you're trying to make a film, you just have to believe in the film. So watch films with the eye of how you would do this. What's the way you would film this scene? How would you do this if you had absolutely no money and you're shooting on your phone, but you're still trying to film what is functionally the same scene? And also it's worth watching a lot of bad films, not because you want to make fun of them, but because you want to figure out, okay, I see what they're doing wrong. If I'm in the same position, how do I not fall into the same trap? And that's something anybody can do anytime, just by watching movies.
All right. Great advice. Hey, it's me in HD. Not related to this movie, but Mr. Stimson, that shirt is absolutely fire.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying to make Hawaiian goth a thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck to you, sir. Grizzled Entertainment, what about the flux capacitor?
We don't have a flux capacitor. We have a massive, large particle accelerator in the film that's built under his compound, and we get a few interior shots of.
All right,
because I like particles. For them.
Brock Samsonite asks, Tim, do you watch Futurama? They handle all different kinds of time travel on that show.
Not only do I watch Futurama, I have seen everything you can see with Futurama, and I regularly play poker with one of the animators.
Oh.
You're kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I love Futurama. I love it.
Great show. Love it to death.
Yeah.
And is he any good at poker?
Yes, he regularly takes all of my money. It's very frustrating.
But you're getting advice. That's the price. All right.
Hey, give me advice about this stuff. He's there to play poker.
Hey, it's me in HD. Which time travel movie would Mr. Stimson one of the best? For me, it's Looper. What's your favorite? What's the best time travel movie?
Best versus favorite. Two different questions. I think as a movie that actually digs into time travel, probably Primer is still the best one, but it's not my favorite. My favorite is T2 because T2 is amazing.
Yeah, there you go. All right. For Matthew Hammond for 5. Hey, thanks. Did Stimson take inspiration from other time travel movies like Primer? We talked about that. Back to the Future, yes. Groundhog Day, Live, Die, Repeat, Looper, Deja Vu, Time Cop, and Tenet.
I wouldn't call it inspiration because I wasn't trying to do any of these things these films are trying to do. Part of the reason I wanted to make this weird little film was I wanted to see something I hadn't seen done before. Now, does that make the film better than that? No, God, no. These are all massively wonderful films, but they're trying to do something different than what I was trying to do with Tim Travers.
All right. Joseph. Oh, Danny Trejo is in it too.
Yes, he is. And he nearly froze to death.
We have a question about that coming up. Hail, Mr. Snead. I wanted to tell a joke about time travel, but you didn't like it. I don't know what that means.
I don't know. He wanted to tell a joke about time travel, so he already did in the past, and apparently it didn't work. That is some solid time travel writing right there. I'm sure I'm going to find it hilarious next week.
All right. Nerd Far Away. Hail, Mr. Snead. Which do you think is more fun to execute? Principal or digital special effects?
Practical.
Practical
every single time. Practical is harder, and sometimes you're limited by stuff. And the trap you can fall into with digital is while it's amazing, sometimes you can rely on it too heavily. In this film, we tried to draw a really hard delineation between what was going to be CG and what wasn't. So we'd rely very much on camera trickery whenever humanly possible, but we also knew we were going to do deep fakes and facial replacements and have like a full CG model of his head for certain group shots where we simply couldn't trick in camera. But practical, if you've got the time and money, always more fun every single time. Don't tell the animators I said that.
From Bush and Rio Cat for 2, thank you. Solomon, please say you like the 1980 Time Bandits.
I think he means Stimson. But go on.
Okay,
Yeah.
Stimson. Yeah.
Bush and Rycat, if by that you're referring to my Steelbook Collector's Edition Criterion downstairs, yes, I am loosely familiar with the film.
Right. And are you looking forward to Apple ruining it?
If Apple actually picks up my movie, I'll be so damn happy that they can slap me while they buy it, and I'll say, thank you, may I have another?
All right. And ADLS 24, what was behind the idea to shoot in Spokane, and what is the indie film production scene like in that part of the country? Did you locally source your crew?
Well, the idea to shoot in Spokane was because of the indie scene. They have a company there called Northwest Passage, formerly known as North by Northwest, who is responsible for all of Z Nation, several TV shows ongoing right now, Smoke Signals, Knights of Badassdom. This is not an indie company. They are probably the biggest player in the state of Washington by a significant margin, actually, as a production team. So we did the production there. The entire thing was a local Spokane team. In fact, the only people who were from out of town were the celebrities and the lead actor, Samuel Dunning. I myself even went to college in Spokane, so I've got very deep roots in that community.
And
it's
one
to shoot in.
Stimson, one last question. Well, I have one question after.
All day.
Brock Samsonite asks, do you believe in Professor Hulk's version of time travel is correct? Because I think Back to the Future doesn't have plot holes like Hulk's theory does. Do you agree with Hulk? I think he's talking about Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, I have not read that specific article, so I can't really tear into it. I do think, though, if we're referring to, are we talking about Avengers or are we talking about Back to the Future?
Yeah, no, both.
Both, yeah.
Like he's saying Hulk. Do you think Hulk's version of time travel is correct from Endgame or Back to the Future?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about Hulk critic reviews. Yeah.
No. The movie Endgame and the character in the movie.
They're both demonstrably correct because within the reality and context of their film worlds, they follow their own rules fairly well, but it is two different sets of rules. And they're both proven right. I mean, they're demonstrably correct in both cases. It's just that they're functioning in entirely different realities.
Now, your film is playing the festival circuit right now. When will it see release?
Sometime next year when we lock in our final distribution. So you'll see. So Tim Travers will be out sometime in 2025, and hopefully we'll have more information about that coming up at San Diego Comic-Con.
Will you be there?
We have a panel Thursday night, the 25th.
Nice. Okay. All right.
So if anybody coming to Comic-Con, just come out, say hello.
Will Felicia be on the panel?
Yes.
Ooh.
Good. I'm a fan. Stimson, thank you for joining us today on the Film Threat livecast. Have a great weekend.
I shall. Thanks for all the great questions, guys.